Welcome everybody to Generation Dan. Dino, that is a terrible title to put for the stream. You're just saying we're out of ideas. We're done. We don't have anything new anymore. Go ahead.
Basically accurate. I'll tell you that much. After 139 episodes, the hard part is not doing what we've already done. Like in some ways, it's good to have like a Christmas show and then also a Halloween show because those are actually fun.
Mhm.
But then people are like, let's celebrate Thanksgiving. And you're like, again, can we not do this? It's
I
a
just
lot.
lost the 20 pounds I gained from last time, and I gotta redo this shit.
I'll be honest with you, that has been one of the weirdest experiences. Is like I weighed in when I was in Cleveland, which we were eating like pigs. And the last time I was in Cleveland, Cole, like, because I just kept on ordering food, and Cole's like, just stop, I can't eat anymore. I'm like, why being such a bitch? And it was funny because like Cole is fat, but I'm like, oh no, I am so much more of a eternal fatso that I should get my name on a placard somewhere. I feel it's fair.
Is Cole, like, I've met Cole, but we were both in like warm clothing, so you can never really tell how fat a person is when they have
well, and he demanded, even though it was freezing cold while I was there, he definitely demanded walking around in his underwear, and I'm like, put your balls away, weirdo. It was quite a thing. Okay. But what's up, Serge?
In his defense, I am a fan of the t-shirt underwear.
No, I didn't say t-shirt. I didn't say t-shirt. Just his underwear.
So he's like a baby walking around in just a diaper. That's pretty funny.
I mean, it is like, it's better than the Winnie the Pooh, like just where it's just a t-shirt, no underwear. That's significantly worse.
Unfortunately, I will always associate Jimmy Fallon with that look because of the SNL sketch "Let's Do It in My Twin Bed." Have you ever seen that?
No.
Oh my god, it's amazing. I'll put it in the link in the show notes if I remember to. But
absolutely,
there's it's like a song where it's like, back in town visiting my mom and dad, and like they're down the street, so it's like, let's do it in my twin bed, not gonna like it, but it's the only option. Like it's a fun sketch.
This is okay. So the funny thing is that, like, having had the childhood I did, where I'm like, I saved myself for marriage, and then I hear all these stories where people are like, so I'm at this party and we start fucking. I'm like, at a party? There are other people? And I'm just like, oh,
I'm with you on that. I never quite understood. Like, you ever watch Freaks and Geeks?
No, I did on my list though.
You should. It's good. But like, there's a thing where they host a party, and then two characters end up doing it in the parents' bedroom, and I'm like, when I was at a party, there's no way that I would ever take a girl and try and to take your clothes off, foreplay, screw, and then finish, and then go back to the party.
It's not even that, sir. I'm a man. I'm a gentleman. I need to be romanced. So I'm like, I just don't.
I just imagine you lying on the bed being like, romance me, like a Roman emperor. You're just like,
I mean, that's basically how it works. And it's only gotten worse now that I've lost weight. It's only
Victoria's got her work cut out for her, I imagine.
I mean, like, there's definitely a lot more work happening. I'll tell you that much. Which is great because like it's enjoyable, but at the same time, like, God, it's so much work. But what can you do? I feel like that's the thing is, like, I hear all these stories where people are like they're getting into situations at work, and I'm like, why? You know how hard it is just to have a relationship with one person, and people are out here having multiple relationships. I'm like, why would you do that to yourself? Like, Jesus Christ.
Or like, you hear the thing where it's like the guy, a guy was married, and then it turned out he had two separate families that he was. How the fuck did you pull that off?
I mean, listen, let's be honest, is the 50s and 60s were great because you could have a shit job and two families in two different states. Like, that's amazing. That's, I mean,
and support them, like, you're just sending money back and they're living.
And you're like, that's really the downfall of the economy is you're like, you can't support multiple families. You can't set up franchises throughout the states anymore.
Oh my God.
I mean, like, listen, I remember watching. There was a show for a while. Big Love was about.
Oh yeah, we're with Amanda Seyfried, right? She was on
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And he had multiple wives and stuff, and I'm like,
but he's a Mormon, isn't it? Like the
yeah,
whole
yeah.
idea where like he's not supposed to. Like Mormons don't do that anymore. But
Well, so there are very specific like groups of Mormons that still do. What's up, Joey? Joey and Serge, and it's our lucky day. It's great. Yeah, like there are certain groups that don't, but like the general religion doesn't condone it. Like it's quite weird.
truck drivers,
Drivers
multiple
multiple.
homes. Okay.
I mean, like that's the thing is like realistically, if you were like, I remember the times when if you were a long haul trucker, you could just go. Like that was a huge, like you made bank. The only thing is you're on the road, like, which in all honesty, like I use the example of my dad. My dad had a small business, which it provided for the family. We all had homes, like cars, house in Greece, all these kind of things. And you're like, yeah, he sacrificed having a very close, involved relationship with his children to provide that for him because he wanted a future that he didn't have. Right. And I'm like, I can't say that that was wrong because it's not like he didn't love us. He loved us a great deal, but you have to make a choice. And if you were driving long haul, you made money, but you had to like, I get it on to be like, I have one house at the beginning and one house at the end, and I chill out at one house and then go back. You're like, also, they both have separate families, which like, I mean, I kind of get it, but God, that seems like a nightmare. It's just too much work, you know?
Yeah.
Those things. It's very, but this is okay. So this is where I said, is there anything new anymore? Okay. Drugs, Atlas, and Dino.
Drugs, Atlas, and Dino. Wait, meaning that's the new stuff, or?
I mean, well, this is the thing is like, my understanding, I wasn't there, despite what people think that I am 1,000. I wasn't there for the 60s and 70s, but I know that drugs were available. I sacrificed children for.
Yeah. My dad was telling. I had breakfast with my dad yesterday, who was around for the 60s and 70s.
Yeah,
and like, so in the 70s, there was a time where he lived in Aspen, Colorado, with two friends of his named Greg and Mick, who was also known as the Field Mouse because he was tiny and insane.
yes.
And I really hope we bring my dad on this show because the Field Mouse stories are the best. Like just a taste of one.
Yeah.
The mouse was on a date with a girl, and as they were driving up to the house that they lived in, which was also known as the dog house because they found a bone in the shag carpet one time, the 70s, you know, like you do. He drove through the living room wall with his truck, just through the fucking wall. And then my dad and Greg are just in the living room, and they're like, what the Jesus? And, you know, the mouse is like this. The girl next to him is freaking out because of course he would. And then he just calmly turns to her and says, would you like to come in for a drink?
I mean, like,
yeah. So
I mean, the balls on that guy. I'm like,
no.
How does he wear pants?
I met him when I was looking at colleges at the end of high school because I was looking at CU Boulder and CSU Fort Collins, and he still lives in Colorado. So one of the nights, my mom and I got to just stay at his house, and I was expecting something crazy. He's just like a little dude with a flat top and a mustache and glasses now. Like it just doesn't fit the image I had of him in my head, you know? Anyway, if you want to see more Field Mouse stories, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll try and get my dad to come on this show.
I mean,
he's got stories, but
I met your dad and he didn't give a shit. It was quite enjoyable.
No.
He's a nice guy.
Was he watching the Dolphins game when?
No, it was at the end of your wedding as we were about to go back to our room and everything. I'm like, oh, I just wanted to make sure I introduced myself. Like, oh, hi, I'm Atlas's thing. He's like, sure, whatever. And I'm like, oh, good. You don't give a shit. Hey, nice to meet you, sir. Have a great day. He's like, okay.
I think the gummies had kicked in because he had taken some like at the beginning of the reception.
The ones I brought, okay? Yes. I brought the drugs, and he didn't even be like, hey, thanks for the weed. No, he's like, yeah, go fuck yourself. I'm like, yeah, that seems accurate. See, this is the thing is for you guys, I'm an old man. But then for me, he's an old man. And I'm like, oh, hello, sir. And he's like, fuck you. What are you? You're an old man too. And I'm like, no, you're the old. I'm not an old man. You're the old man. He's like, no, I'm cool. I'm like, oh, fuck this shit.
He was tired or whatever. Anyway,
it's no. It's not against him. every time I've met an old person, they're like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, bro, you're old too."
Yeah.
I'm like, "I'm not that old," and they're like,
It's
"You
the
look
gray
old."
hair. It's the gray hair.
It's yeah.
He but yeah, so like in his time, he told me about time he's done mushrooms, or he did mushrooms and like
just a Tuesday for me. Yeah.
LSD, smoked weed, like all throughout his
Yeah.
time when he was in Colorado. He tried like everything, and I didn't learn of this until I was an adult because duh. But like,
which is probably for the best.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Yeah,
I know, but it's just fun hearing these stories from him because I'm like, this is the guy who all throughout my childhood was like, weed is bad. I'm glad it's illegal. And then it started getting legalized. And he looked nervous, but not
sure.
mad about it. He was just like, oh, this is odd. But you could see him being like, shit, they're going to know. They're going to know one day that I was a major pothead in the 70s.
This is the weird part is, right? Like, because I remember hearing stories. So like I got caught smoking when I was a youngster. And it was a big no, and you know, and my dad told me stories. He's like, "You think I don't want to smoke?" He goes, "I just stopped cold turkey. I haven't smoked in over 30 plus years. And you know what?" He goes, "You know how many times I was on the subway riding and I took a pack and I had wicked lighters. I just chucked them out the subway, the streetcar window." Yeah. And then and he goes, then 4:00 in the morning, I'm hunting through that field where the streetcar went through to see if I could find my lighter because it's fucking cool, and my smokes because nothing was open. And I'm like, yeah, that's fair.
When you say smoking, you mean cigarettes, right?
Yeah, just cigarettes. Okay, but it's like in the same sense, like
Mm.
you always think that your parent, like if you're okay, let's be fair. If you had good parents, you had them on the pedestal because when you met them, right, as a child, you're like, oh, they have everything figured out. That's who I go to for answers. I love Serge. He's like, I'm high right now, as you should be, sir. It's Sunday. It's God's day.
It's the Lord's day here on Generation Dad.
It's the Lord's day, and you should smoke it if you got it. Interestingly enough, today is actually Passover, so that it's hilarious. That's where I'm going later today. So that's
going to a Seder? Or?
No. I'm totally different. It's the memorial of Jesus' death. It's the new Passover. So it falls in the same, because remember, when Jesus died, it was the night of Nisan 13, which is Passover, and that's when he passed around the wine, and the thing.
Yeah, the Last Supper was a Passover Seder.
It's correct. Yeah. Now, that being said, it's also too that the Bible also says things like, don't, like, people are like, oh, a birthday, and he's like, you don't celebrate someone's birth. They have nothing. You would, if anything, you would celebrate their death. And it's like, and then Jesus said, do this in remembrance of me. So the only thing in the Bible that he said that is said to continue to do in remembrance of him is the Passover. So it's hilarious to me when people are like, Easter and the bunny. You're like, there's no bunny. What the fuck? It's very good. But yeah, but that's the thing, is you have this idea of your parents that you're like, oh, you guys are so got things figured out. And then you realize, they were young people too at one point. They weren't always old. And then you meet other old people and you're like, how do you not have your shit together? And they're like, life. And you're like, that's a perfectly reasonable answer. Is life completely fucks with you, like you're in jail.
Do you guys do an authentic Passover where several firstborn get slaughtered?
I mean, if you play your cards right.
Like, this is Latin America. Jesus, Joey. Wow. Okay.
Joey hit a new strain today. That strain is poor decisions.
That's what do you mean? That's every strain they do.
I mean, that's just Joey in general.
No,
Ryan's cookies, they're fantastic.
It's definitely a thing where especially like teaching kids where I know for now I'm able to like kind of sort of keep up with their slang and to understand mostly what it is they're saying to each other. But as time goes on, I will lose that connection more and more as I get older, because like I'm one of the youngest teachers at the school. It's like there's only one teacher younger than me. She's 23, which is like, but
she's banging her students. That's the
wow. Okay, that got dark, but
whatever, bro. Hey, it is a weird time we're living.
But just like the kind of thing where they'll have revelations that they think are new, but it's like they don't. We all go through that as part of growing up, and I keep telling them that, like, you're not having an original thought, and that's okay. Like we're just all going through the motions.
If Jesus was balding, this would be Jesus. There's no question. Okay, like I got Jesus written all over me.
You're the sequel that comes out 20 years later when they're like, well, we gotta like still capitalize on the on.
I'm Jesus too with a vengeance. Like that's he's come back with a fury. Bro, teaching
Crucify
is
this.
nothing like the movie Wild Things. That's also true. New
class.
class 23.
Oh my God, Kyle.
See, this is okay, but this is the thing is like one of the things that I've been doing is I'm trying to read through the meditations of Marcus Aurelius. Okay. And like so to the point where Kyle and I have been talking, and we're going to start doing a show where we discuss it. Like it's not going to be long, but it's going to be Kyle's like, I'm popular, Jesus. That's not, I won't disagree with that.
Hello.
What up, Oni?
I don't know
From
who Oni
Finland.
is, but
How you
nice
doing?
to meet you.
Oni has been watching me play Lego and teaching us Finnish words, all Finnish words that are ridiculously long, but also difficult to process or to pronounce because they have 90,000 letters and half of them are J's. It's wild.
The only thing I know about Finland is the Winter War, and congrats on that. You guys did great. It gave Russia a bloody nose. Good job.
I mean, it's always nice when the big guy gets a bloody nose because you're like, hey, he's human.
Yeah.
This is fair.
Also, you do well with like how you handle homeless people, which is just give them homes
and jails.
Turns out we're straight.
I mean, yeah.
It's
listen, that's the funny thing is like if someone is ungovernable, just get rid of them. But if they can learn, then you have to do that. That's the only thing. Kyle, what was the person doing or saying that was being a troll? Oh, they kept on trying to be provocative with Kyle. Yeah.
Sorry.
Not a good start. Not a good start, my friend. Also true. I'm
just saying that's all I know about Finland, and I'm not trying to be like, don't tell me anything else. I want to learn.
Oh, Joey's starting with Finnish. Jesus, thanks a lot, Joey, you bastard.
Wow.
But yeah, so this is the thing: is reading meditations. Okay, the stuff that Marcus Aurelius, who like, let's be honest, Marcus Aurelius was the guy. Okay, he was.
You should know more. Tell me more. Tell me things.
No, we're talking about other things.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
It's not going to become a language session. Anyways, does that make Atlas awkward, Jesus? Like, yeah, I know you guys mercied me, but like, we don't have to talk about it. That's 100% who Atlas is. He's the apologetic Jesus. It's like, hey, man,
just come in like they go looking for behind the rock. He's gone. And I'm just like, hi.
Yeah, I'm back.
Just behind him. Hi, I'm back.
So, but this is the thing is like when you read it, okay, this is a man who had all the power. He had all of the wealth, all of the everything, knowledge at his beck and call, and also was like well learned. Like he had all the advantages. And the things that he talks about are also the things that you're like, you contemplate. I'm definitely in the process of contemplating right now. And you're like, hold on. He had all the things, and we're still dealing with the same stuff on a personal growth level. You're going, some things have to change, but a lot of things don't. Also, do you know, I have seen Ricky Stenicki. I'm definitely movie Jesus, that's for sure. Joey's weed Jesus. I'm like, you're more weed Judas Iscariot, you tricky son of a bitch. Let's be fair.
I like how we're talking about this like we're kids on the playground be like, you're this character and you're the yellow Power Ranger and you're the red Power Ranger and you're like that.
So hilariously, we were going through this with Cole because if you guys don't know already, Kyle, myself, Cole, and Atlas have tried to try and do things together as well. Try and grow and possibly do more. Now, so we work in tandem with all of this, and we're trying to figure out who is who. So right now, because Kyle has been in a few TV shows now, he's done other things with acting. He's the Adam Sandler of our group. I, of course, being a monster of both physical strength and sexual prowess, am Kevin James. Then we have Cole is 100% Joe Dierte. Like that's who Joe. That he's David Spade. And
damn, I was gonna say with my hair like this, doesn't make me David Spade with my hair all crazy?
I mean, I trying to remember. We were very, very drunk. And we were at a point where we finished off. So Cole and I, we finished off an entire bottle of vodka, then an entire bottle of Irish cream, which was mixed with coffee. And then Cole went on to drink half a bottle of Southern Comfort. Now, the Southern Comfort was like Southern Comfort Light. It was like the 20% one instead of the 40% one.
Oh, okay. That made a difference. Like,
well, in the end, we were talking. We had a great time. Joey is weed Judas. 100%. He's yeah. And also Lego Builder, who even is that other dude? So Oni keeps on watching me and Kyle as I build Lego. And
Yeah.
he keeps on referring to Kyle as Yellow Shirt, which is hilarious. And this is Atlas. Atlas and I have done this show 139 times. I'll tell you, each time it is completely random and shenanigans. And that's the fun part about it.
Yeah,
But
Oni, nice to meet you. I'm sorry we got off on a bad foot. Generation Dan is the name of the
yeah,
show.
come check it out. Because this is my channel. Generation Dan is the other channel.
Yeah.
And then Atlas has the Epileptic comic, which is also hilarious. And now he's going to refer to you as the other dude. I mean, that's fair. But also too, yeah, I think we were talking about you where you might be Chris Rock. You might be Chris Rock.
How?
We don't see color.
I'm not
we don't see
against it,
color,
but, like-
Alice. We don't see color.
Okay.
Mostly because your wife beats you. And in Grown Ups, definitely Chris Rock gets beaten by his wife. So
Katie
I mean,
doesn't beat me. Not
a little bit.
Anyway.
Yeah, definitely emotionally. And I'm telling you, you're better for it. Let's be honest. That's fine.
Probably.
Yeah.
All these Judy's comparisons are not apt. I have never betrayed
anyone. You provided weed cookies limitless with no other snacks, sir. You are 100% Judas, okay? Is Atlas moving or building a fort?
I'm moving, Kyle. At the end of March, I will be moving into a
2-bedroom. A fort, because he's being relegated from the bedroom. That's what I thought.
No, but so not the next episode of Generation Dan, but the one after will be the first one in my new place.
Fun times. Fun times. No, that's one of the things that I always find entertaining is the fact that the other dude, are you on Twitch or
YouTube? Okay, so
YouTube,
the
Epileptic comic.
Yep. So it's all stand-up clips and then like little sketches, and a lot of them are about what it's like to have epilepsy, which I have.
He is a funny man.
Yeah.
If you know California, he is moving like 2 hours away from work.
It's a mile up the road too. That's the funny part.
Like, so 4-hour drive.
Away from work.
Yeah, basically. Atlas is Chris Rock because he is mostly likely to do blackface.
Oh, hell
also very possible.
No. Joey is most likely to do blackface, then Cole, then me.
I mean,
okay,
Joey.
Anyways, you got completely wasted on whatever it is stuff you were getting wasted on.
And we figured out that you're Chris Rock. I'm the ever sexual Kevin James. Also, Kevin James does fasting and is a powerhouse. So I'm like, yeah, it's great.
Katie and I are big fans of King of Queens too. So
I mean, King of Queens is enjoyable. Also, I like to, when people ask me questions, I just stand there going, I didn't do anything. I am still the youngest of 5 kids. So and I have a wife who definitely beats me. The difference is I'm too big. She can't reach anything important for my mental cognition. It's all body shots and telephone books. Bag of oranges to the face, stuff like that.
I'm just imagining her the way like Scrappy Doo wants to beat someone. Let me at him, and she's like hitting your shins or whatever.
Oh yeah. There's been a couple times where I'm like, you can punch me if you want, and she hits me, and I'm like, she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I didn't feel anything. It's great. It's useful because it's good to know I still got it. So most likely ignore the early 90s. Yeah, I mean that's fair.
See what I mean?
See, it's one of those things where the fact that we converse on a regular basis about these kind of things, I think is worthwhile, right? Because if you don't try and look at yourself from an outside perspective, it's a lot harder to grow, right?
Yeah.
But that's the thing is, you're like, that is a normal. A lot of people kind of see this. There's a lot of, I'm sure you've seen this, is people are like, I'm a life coach, and you're like, no, that's not a thing. And it's now a growing
industry
dominant environment where people are like, I'm a life coach. You're like, oh, cool. Are you a successful person? They're like, absolutely not. And you're like, well, then why are you a life coach? You're like, well, because people have to hear shit. And you're like, it's kind of true. Don't forget, Dino will be live in Ohio May 18th. Also, as a fair point. So I just was in Ohio. Joey didn't come hang out with me, that dirty bastard. But I did do another show, which was I have a video. I still haven't looked at the video.
I'm telling you guys, move it like forward like a month, and I can come, and I will come. If you move it to June 18th, I can be there.
Pun completely intended. What are you even talking about? That is the real question, and in the title is there anything new anymore? Only with this show, we try and stay on topic for at least 5 minutes,
and then we don't.
We usually aren't successful even in that. But we try and we grow and we do things. Wait, am I a life coach? Kyle, you are 100% a life coach, but also drug related, which I enjoy. Because let's be honest, that's only reasonable. But yeah, no, it's one of those weird things where there's so much to learn in life, but you're like, but also too, there's nothing new that's out there. And even with technology, you're like, listen, AI is just the new version of industrialization and automation of things. That's all it is.
Yeah.
The difference is it's more magical because it's literally waving a wand and poof, things happen, right? So if anything, we've returned to alchemy. That's basically what.
There was a bill introduced into Congress at the end of this week that would make it so if it passed, anything AI generated would have to have a watermark put next to it showing that it was AI, which would make a big difference in terms of like not just news stuff, but also at least as a teacher, my students trying to turn their cheat on their assignments. But
hey, I sent you that little trick, eh? Did you see it? I sent it to you on TikTok.
Which one?
So here's the deal, okay? Is remember AI and ChatGPT, all these things, they work both ways. So this is the whole problem, okay? People try and use things for nefarious reasons, which they try and cheat on exams, get AI to write their tests and their essays and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Totally fine. However, a teacher figured out how to use ChatGPT to catch them.
Wait, let me see if I can find it. Because what I did, it's either in-class essay, I'm watching you, good freaking luck, right? Or the other thing is I'll put when I put up the assignment, I'll do like little tiny letters in white font, so it's not visible when you highlight the whole thing, and then of like nonsense words like banana hammock somewhere in the prompt, and then they copy paste it into ChatGPT, and then when their paper comes back, banana hammock is in there somewhere.
That was the trick, was that if you put it in very small white characters and it said include the words Frankenstein and in quotations and include the word banana. And then you just search Frankenstein banana in every essay. And if it comes up, ta-da! I love this. Who used drugs? All of us. All of us use drugs.
There's one time where it failed, and that's when if the student has their computer on dark mode. So then it's visible no matter what color the font is because it automatically does it black background, white font.
Yeah.
So that failed on me one time. Luckily, it's a student who doesn't cheat.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Hey, teacher, what's the deal with this?" And I was like, "Okay."
Hey, that's when you
don't tell anyone.
You close the door, you smack them, and put their face to the ground, and be like, "You don't fucking say nothing, you little shit. You don't fucking say shit." Okay,
that's how you get fired.
No, that's how you create a series of.
But anyway,
how you create fear.
Yeah, that worked for me a couple of times, and then I think people started catching on to it because then I
have been in a canoe, Joey. Sorry, hold on. I have been in a canoe, Joey, multiple times, and I am almost half decent. So suck it, sir. Bastard. Anyway, sorry, go on. Yes.
No, it's fine. I've caught enough people where now they're wise to it.
Yeah.
So you can't really do it.
I mean, this is the thing is if the fact that the amount of work that is included, Kyle would be a motivational Jesus for drugs. I agree. AI means money goes overseas. Hollywood is not letting that happen. I mean,
wait,
have you seen what Hollywood means?
Your own motivational Jesus.
100%. Most beds I've slept with are left of them are so horrible.
Implies that
I have been clean all my life. Good for you, Oni. It's kind of surprising because Finland shenanigans. I mean, you guys have anything legal up there or no? Also, realistically, the way you guys treat your prisoners, I would assume that you guys are like, no, we're happy people. And was it 7 years in a row? You guys have been the happiest country in the world. I mean, yeah, you don't need drugs. You have success. Ridiculous, sir. Ridiculous. I was just trying to stop the real smart kids from succeeding with technology.
I did show them, like, look, you can use AI as like a starting tool. They like put the prompt in, see what it comes up with, and then you can use it to be like, okay, talk about X, Y, and Z thing, and then write your own goddamn paper. But it's the people who just copy paste it into a paper, and then that's it. You know what I mean?
But that's the problem, is that we live in a planet that so many people are just copying and pasting. Like if you go on TikTok, is people are using other people's content.
Or even worse, you have the content and the guy in the corner and just be like him reacting.
And they're like, ooh, whoa. And you're like, what are you reacting to, you numbskull? It's absolutely ridiculous. They got fjords up there. They do. See, that's why I always find it perplexing that if people use that effort towards good instead of evil, you'd be in a much better situation. That's just my general opinion. But like, that's the thing, is there's nothing good comes from not putting in some sort of effort, even for your own personal growth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your boy Cole.
Fjords are like the ocean equivalent of a cul-de-sac, right? Where it's like really thin or something. Is that?
No idea. I don't know.
Seems like the type of guy to use AI to write. Yes, he does.
Let's be honest. Cole seems like the type of guy who would use AI to, cook dinner. It's okay. And then he's like, "Why didn't it cook?" You're like, that's not how AI works. He's like, "Come on."
I love the idea of him putting that prompt literally just into ChatGPT and be like, "Okay, in order to make a grilled cheese, do this." And he's like, "Why isn't it making a grilled cheese?"
It's that disconnect that which, let's be honest, his roast is happening April 21st on his birthday, and we're definitely gonna be talking about that kind of stuff. So
he is so lucky that his birthday was not 24 hours earlier. Otherwise, we would be making Hitler comparisons out the goddamn window. Like,
I mean, that may still happen. Yes, other guy is
teacher. I am an English teacher.
Yeah,
for high schoolers. I also teach film study as an elective,
which is like, okay, number one, I want to applaud you, sir. I want to applaud you because I remember I took a gen ed course in college, which a general education course is meant to round out your education, give you a more thorough understanding of the universe, right?
Yep.
And it was called Villains in Literature and Film. I remember this. And you had essentially like 3 weeks to drop a course or to try and change electives and stuff like that.
Right.
I went into the course and she's like, there's going to be 7 books to read. There's going to be 6 essays. There's going to be 3 exams. And I'm like, oh, is that okay? Yeah, I'm out. See you later. And she was like, why? You don't want? I'm like, no, I have real courses to deal with. This is supposed to be watching movies, talking about it, maybe write a test. Cool. Not a fucking, I'm not studying the library here. Get the fuck out of here. And, but whereas you are trying to get them to watch, but also expand, discuss, and I applaud you, sir, because you know what? That is exactly how that's meant to be. Because film is its own thing, right? You don't like, what kind of a dickhead goes, we're going to watch the movie, and then you have to read the book. I don't have time for that. That's why I watched the movie, you son of a bitch.
Like the last movie we did was Rocky Horror Picture Show, and then I was teaching them about the concept of the Bechdel test, and the assignment to go along with the movie wasn't about the movie; it was about the Bechdel test.
What's the Bechdel test?
So, if a movie passes the Bechdel test, it includes 2 or more women characters. They talk to each other at least once in the movie, and during that conversation, what they're talking about is not about a man. It's got to be about anything else. If all those 3 things
Lord of the Rings passes. I love it.
Yes, it does. If all those 3 things happen, it passes the Bechdel test. It's supposed to be like a more feminist way of looking at movies. And that's not to say that a movie passing the Bechdel test makes it a feminist movie, but it's still just like a way to, look at it in that way. Because like Rocky Horror Picture Show is more for like, it's more of like pro LGBT themes than feminist. But
hey, make your own movies, bro. I love it.
I would if they had the equipment. Like I don't have, so I got to do it as film study instead of like filmmaking.
I mean, listen, everyone's got a cell phone. Actually, how do you guys do that in high school? Are you guys allowed to, or are the children allowed to use their cell phones in class or no?
Not supposed to. The way they want you enforcing it is just like if you see it, take it and give it to them at the end of class. But it's so hard to do that with 30-something kids.
Yeah.
There's one teacher who she got like one of those calculator caddies.
Yeah.
Put it in the back of the room, and then that's her way of taking roll. Is you got to put your phone in your slot, and if it's not there, she marks you absent.
Oh.
And like I got given one of those midway through the year, and I couldn't really start doing it in like December or whatever. So I think I'll start next year doing it the way she does.
It's not a bad idea,
Yeah.
but also too, it's one of those things that like if you've ever been in a workplace where they're like, oh, you can't take out your phone because it's sensitive information, and I'm like, no, I don't care. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, you either trust me with sensitive information or you don't trust me with sensitive information. If I have phone call, I'm taking my phone call. You know why? Because my life is actually important and this is a job. And they were like, oh, well, we have a policy. I'm like, I don't care. And I would butt heads with people where I'm like, I never took out my phone, but I was like, hey, just in case you see, this is what's going on in my life. So my phone is going to be out, and it's going to be, if I need to take a call, I'm going to take that call. And they're like, okay, that's understandable. But I'm like, be reasonable, right? And it's very tricky thing. Do you know that Finland's education system has been voted the best in the world for? Well, listen, it's definitely not Canada and America. I'll tell you that much. Have you ever tried talking geography with anyone in the United States? It's not.
My God,
it is a brutal experience. And in Canada,
I love the idea of like talking to someone in Kansas. Points at Kansas. That's Colorado. Like,
it's 100%. I heard they are implementing RFID pouches in school in Las Vegas.
That sounds like something Las Vegas would do.
I mean, the problem is, like in Las Vegas, those kids are going to have their personal phone, then their like decoy phone, and then also their drug dealer phone. So it's like, which phone are they going to put in the RFID bag?
I could very easily see somebody being like, "Hey, mom, I know you like upgraded phones. Can I have the old one?" And then just putting that in the case every time. Like, come on, that's too easy to.
It's this the thing is the idea of control is very important in school, right? Whether it's good or bad, but that it's implementing that there are like I'm a firm believer that you need to be control of yourself if you want to grow. And by being in control of yourself, that means that you have to really display discipline of your own self, right? So being in school, you are in the workforce theoretically, and you have a boss that is your teacher. So you have to do whatever they say, and that is a shit experience in real life, right? But it will teach you either number one, you're okay with that, or number two is you definitely don't want to repeat that, and then that would dictate your career. A lot of people don't realize that, right? And that's
there's like a thing where, it's their phone. I would definitely be in a position like that where you like that would be annoying to have to deal with.
Yeah.
So I think after a certain point, it was just we've got to the understanding of like, just don't fucking take it out when I'm trying to teach, please.
Yeah.
And then like that's the equilibrium that I've reached eventually. I've had some kid ask me on a school trip to Boston if we lived in
every time.
Wow.
So just to be clear, so when just before I went down to Cleveland, Cole was like, hey, my son asked if you guys speak English up there. I'm like, no, we don't. We actually translate everything to English. And then like I have to learn English because I speak Canadian when I'm up here. And he's like, you're such an asshole. And I'm like, oh, also too, just so you know, because of the weather, we have started building our summer homes because all the igloos are melting. And we've started to put away our snow sleds because, the summer's here. So we can now use horse and buggies. And he's just like, you're such a dick. And I'm like, bro, don't. Trust me, I can make this horrible. I remember a guy, we were in Georgia, and he's like, I heard it's real clean up there. And I'm like, yep, it's very clean in Canada. He's like, you can't even spit on the ground. I'm like, that's correct. You definitely can't. You'll get a ticket.
Seriously?
And then he, no, of course not. No. And then he asked my dad, and my dad's like, what are you, stupid? And he was like, he just looked at us, and we were like,
I mean, like during the Spanish flu, you could get fined for spitting in public. So
you could still get a fine for spitting or for having chewing gum in Singapore. That is still an offense.
Interesting. So, why chewing gum?
Oh, because it's a public nuisance. Oh. Did you not hear that story from Dave Chappelle? How he bombed? I think it was Philadelphia, and they're like, we want our money back. He's like, nope, I am paid for the attempt, not for the product that it produces. And then he's like, then I took $25,000 and bought gum and gave it to all the homeless people because you know what? It doesn't feed anyone, and it becomes a problem. And I'm like, that's fucking hilarious. Because that gum is a nuisance. There's no.
That's so funny. That's
very funny.
There's I mean, like, you know, some lady fucking killed her husband over it in the Chicago musical because he was popping his gum too much.
I mean, did you know Finland is the freest country in the world, along with Sweden and Norway? Do you have guns? That's my question. I think the phone thing. No, because we don't have guns, and that's for me. I'm like, that's a real problem. I think the phone thing is BS. If they suck at school because of it, that's on them. See, this is the thing: is that you want, especially in high school. This is. I can only imagine how much is frustrating to you. Is in high school, you want kids to realize that, hey, you're an adult now. You have to do adult things, and being held accountable for your actions is an adult thing. The problem is most of the world is not held accountable for the decisions, whether because of their gender, their sex, their orientation, or their age, or their wealth, or their lack of wealth. There's always something, and you're like, that's the problem, is people aren't held accountable equally. So the fact is, what you want is going, hey, like, I don't know if you have this, but I know that other teachers in the past that I've talked to were like, oh, there was a whole project about no kid left behind. And that didn't mean every kid had to be taught harder. It meant no one was allowed to fail. And that produced a lackluster result, because you're like, yes, when no one can fail, then, so I'm just going to pass everything. That's ridiculous, right?
So that happened thanks to George W. Bush, terrible president.
Which one? The new one or the old Daddy Bush or Dummy Bush?
Dummy Bush. 9/11 Bush. Yeah. So that happened because of him, and it was repealed in 2011, but they had like a kind of lighter version of it. So you can fail kids, but now you have to document every single thing leading up to the failure at the end of the semester, being like, hey, your kid's gonna fail. Hey, your kid's gonna fail. Hey, your kid's gonna fail. Like that kind of thing.
And that's very similar to what they call in corporate world a PIP, or performance improvement plan, which is absolutely dog shit. I've been on one many a times when I was a real person, and I'll tell you, it makes you want to murder everyone in the office. Oni says, I say only to hunting. Oh, absolutely. I don't disagree with you there. It's more of a question of how freely are they accessible, because the fact is that nobody relies on a moral code anymore, right? The fact is that there's I forget which comedian it was, where he was like, there was a pimp who had a gun, and he got into a fight with another pimp, and he took away his gun, and they're like, why don't you shoot him? He goes, no, it's a fist fight. You fight like a man. If you get your ass whooped, you get your ass whooped like a man.
Very bad of him.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is your gun is meant to protect against somebody who's trying to rob you, or someone trying to do something thing. If you have a confrontation or an altercation with another person, that should be just bare knuckles and bodily fluids. That's how that works, right? But people don't follow a moral code anymore, and I think that's the problem, right? It's because the problem, you can't dictate how people should have a moral code. You can only dictate that they have a moral code, and the fact that it is 9 times out of 10 it will not align with other people's. And that's a problem, right? And that's the same idea is in high school. You're like, look, you only get any education. You only get what you put in, right? What the effort you put in is exactly what you'll get out.
There's like a thing where they're still technically children, so you still have to kind of sort of lead them by the hand and be like, okay, you need to, we're doing this for your own good, to like for your education, not expect them to figure it out.
Yeah.
And like that's where the line gets blurred a little bit. Something was interesting where my kids happened to find a music video of me from when I was 18 years old. Do you know about this? Yeah. The They Know video. Yeah. They happened to find that. And then I was going to, I was teaching them about like media literacy. And I was originally, for the last week leading up to spring break, going to do a thing about like interacting with the news. And then that little thing came out and we're like, hey, mister, what's They Know? I was like, oh shit. Okay. So I took a left turn and then was talking about like their digital footprint and the things that they do on the internet, and like, the internet is forever, blah, blah, blah. But apparently they do that with every teacher. They Google every teacher and try and find out about them. Apparently the 9th grade English teacher is a ghost. You can't find shit on him.
Then he's a spy. That's what it is. That teacher is a spy. He's definitely works for the CIA, if not the NSA. Who maybe what does he teach? What does he teach?
Yeah, and like the thing isn't inherently bad. Like I did it when I was their age, and it's funny, and it's just. But it was one of those things where I was like, okay, we gotta have a talk about this.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm always kind of a little proud of it because it has 2 million views. So
Jesus Christ.
yeah, isn't that crazy? That's
Everyone's gonna know. Did you know Finland is the third prosperous company? I mean, that's not a bad idea. But also
don't
too.
don't get married, sleep with everyone. Look out for number one. Weird that the moral code isn't strong going.
Gabe with shots fired. All right.
Jesus.
Finland sucks.
Jesus.
Don't get married, sleep with everyone, looking for number one. Weird what that the moral code isn't going strong. I mean, is that a moral code? Why am I getting brought into this chat? I'm not even in. Listen, you know why, sir.
Because this is Generation Dan. We talk smack about everyone in our little playpen of insanity.
Cole, aka Joe Dierte. Okay, that is.
I imagine you guys talk smack about meat on Hammered and Cheese and all that.
Mostly just wondering how you can buy hats. Your head is ridiculously large.
I don't buy hats. It's literally beanies or nothing. That's it.
That's fair. It's got a lot of elastic in it. That's fair.
Yeah.
I feel like if you wear it for too long, you'd get a headache though, because the beanie wasn't meant for a head your size.
Yeah, exactly. Like how you have beanies that like they're supposed to fold over on the bottom so you can have the little
not you right
logo. Yeah. I have to unfold it and just have it be a sort of like gnome hat.
Oh, you're the condom catcher guy. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
I wear it like that for it to fit.
I love how Honey's like, well, now I have a new enemy. Finland is not suck. Wow. I mean,
that's
Jesus, Gabe, you and him. I mean, we'll you guys fight and we'll air it out.
Gabe, you in the chat are you a Gabe that I know? Like in real life, is this the Gabe that I'm thinking of, or is it a different Gabe? Because
maybe
I've never said a single word about you. I don't even know who you are. Look, I don't care if you guys do talk smack about me. I just kind of assumed it was a thing,
Mostly, we just wonder how it is that Katie learned to beat her husband so well and leave no marks visible. I mean, she is an artist. She is an artist. There's no question.
Because she knows exactly where to point the pussy whip, so it goes right between the shoulder blades. And
there you go.
Yeah,
I mean,
covered by the shirt.
I mean, she knows
Cole's brother. Okay, all right, that makes sense.
Oh shit! That's why. There we go.
I
Finland is neutral. Listen, Grayson has a gate. Is that?
Gabe.
Oh, I have not met that brother. That's why.
I see.
But, hey, Gabe, Finland is not neutral at its best. Also true. Listen,
this is such a weird fight for this to be happening.
I just find it hilarious that like people say that Canadians are the nicest people. Look up Canada circa World War II and its relation to the Geneva Convention, and you'll realize Canada not nice at all.
You guys were there in Normandy. You didn't fuck around.
Shenanigans. Yeah. We did not fuck around with anything. Also, okay, Gabe, Finland is not neutral. Yeah, it's the best. There you go. Well, listen, my theory is I just want. Listen, Finland isn't even real. That's Australia. Australia.
Kick his ass, Oni.
Yeah, take him down. He's American. Yeah. He doesn't even know. Listen, Gabe, can you point out Finland on a map? Oni, I am not real. That's accurate. That is. I mean, listen. Let's be honest. None of us are real. That's one of the things that I feel is more accurate now more than ever, where people are like, I'm a real person. You're like, no, none of us are real people anymore. Especially after the pandemic, nobody's real.
Have you heard of the dead internet theory?
No, maybe not by that name.
Okay, so the theory goes that as corporations have taken over the internet more and more, it is becoming more and more populated with bots to the point where eventually it will just be bots talking to each other.
Correct.
As more and more people like get frustrated and leave.
Which is exactly how Skynet happens, people. Like that's it's the same. Okay, here's a quick question for you. Is that sorry, let me just try and do this.
You don't have to show every single thing that pops up.
I know, but Dino Ixnay on the World War II. Of course not. It doesn't exist. How can I point it out on a map? I mean, Jesus. You have now two dumb people. Listen, we're all a little bit dumb. I am the realist. I mean,
I like how Oni calls you Lego Builder like it's a title. I mean, Dino, Lego Builder extraordinaire.
My desk after this at 4:30, I'm building Lego. I'm building the Chamber of Secrets, and right in front of me, I have multiple pieces.
I want pictures of that when it's done.
In
the group chat.
You know what? So I've had a few people who are like, "How much Lego do you have?" And then I just send them a video of like one shelf, and they're like, "Jesus Christ!" And I'm like, "That's just one shelf." My wife is already getting mad at me. I'll tell you right now.
Strolling across here.
Two jump people, Oni and Joey. Oh, Gabe, you're gonna cause problems. Yeah, I don't know. It like now that you have to be around. Like, let's be honest, you have to put on a facade of being a real person for a significant part of your day daily, right? So, how do you feel at the end of the day? Like, because remember, there was a period in time when people were like, at the end of work, they'd go for a drink before going home as a way of like separating those two things. The problem is some people are like, I'm not going home. I'm just going to drink the night away, which, like, yeah, that's a bad idea.
Yeah, that's how Prohibition happened.
Can I guess who the other dumb person is? I mean, I don't want to hurt feelings. I'm here to make everyone feel bad. Do you know the Lego builder of Marvel? I mean, that's fair. Relax, Sony. I'm just playing. I mean, that's fun times. But yeah, like how do you manage that? Because look, that is a definite issue where you're trying to present your best to children who are literally trying to elicit your worst. That is their job in high school, is to push, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I think because the drive for me is so long, it's like an hour getting home. I am able to sort of decompress that way. I've also recently found a position. Normally, it's seat all the way as far back as I can go, and like seat back up straight, so I'm sitting up straight while driving. Recently, what I've been doing on the drive home, because the traffic is so slow that it's just kind of letting go of the brake pedal for a few feet and then putting it back on. I've been moving the seat up and putting the seat back, so it's more like a Barco lounger almost. And then your hand like just lets gravity sit on the steering wheel. So I'll have that with like whatever podcast or music I'm listening to. Now it would be great if I could just sit on a train, but you know, I can only do so much.
LA, no trains allowed.
No, LA, trains allowed, but only in like 3 places.
See,
it's like one big vagina, like these going in 2 directions, and there's no up and down, and then that's it.
That's the worst analogy of trains
I've
ever heard. But yeah, that's fair.
I mean, a train going into a tunnel, how is that a bad
I mean, analogy? That is a different one.
Yep.
Gabe, I'm glad you concede.
Oni wins. Good job.
Oni, well, listen, it's another feather in Finland's cap. I mean, it's reasonable. No, it's one of those things that, like, I remember catching a teacher who was all like, you can't smoke on school property, and I caught him smoking a cigar at like 5 o'clock after school, and I'm like, and he's like, fuck, and I'm like, bro, just admit you're a real person. That's all I want.
That's the other thing. Like, I remember getting so mad being disciplined as a kid because I was never told why.
Yes.
Why are you doing X or Y thing? Why is this happening to me? Yes. So I try and do that whenever I can. Like if there's ever a like protest from a student, I'll try and explain why it's a big deal. And usually that will get them to acquiesce because they're like, oh, okay, fits into the bigger picture. Somehow, like, Mister, when are we going to use this in the real world? And like me explain, like the thing I always love to point to, like why English is important, is there was a pitcher who debuted for the Oakland A's in like 2011 or something, who could throw with both hands, and the newspaper headline for him said "Amphibious pitcher makes debut." And I'm like, that's why you need English, so you don't look stupid like this when you're trying to interact with other folks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that is hard as a teacher because you have so many restrictions and time constraints on your giving your students an experience that when they are like, hold on, I need to understand this, you're like, how dumb can you bring it down? Because I'll be honest with you, one of the best markers that I've ever used and or experienced was if you can't explain it to a kindergartner, you don't actually know what you're doing. It's that simple. It's one of those things where I'm like, And if you can't dumb it down that far so a child can understand it, then you don't understand the complexities of it. And being able to say, listen, communication is going to be the basis for how you enjoy your work, how you perform your work, how you interact in relationships, how you interact with family members, how you grow as a human being, but also to how you're remembered for all those things that you interact with. Then you're kind of saying, going, so do you think it's important? Do you think that any of those relationships you're going to have going forward are going to be an important factor in your life on whether you succeed or fail? Because if they are, you have to be able to communicate, right? Because I'm a firm believer that English class should not be English class. It should be communications, right? Because that's really
that's
what
a good
it is.
idea. Yeah.
Right?
Like where it's not just like they're trying to get us to do more stuff with like informational text. And, you know, I had the things with, you know, media literacy and stuff like that. So that is kind of like communications.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But like Shakespeare is part of the curriculum. You cannot do anything about that. You have to teach Shakespeare at some point. So,
but that's the thing is, I don't disagree with learning Shakespeare, but I just don't feel that it should be taking up that much, right?
But it's also it takes a long fucking time because it's hard to like, you know, figure that shit out.
But the problem is, yeah, but people are trying to be like, okay, well, we'll just translate it into current speak, and you're like, yeah, that's worse. You don't do. You have to. It's about explaining the transition of old language to new language. That's the lesson. Isn't what Shakespeare said. It's understanding and be able to comprehend critically what is said, even though it's not with something you're normally dealing with.
I think I'm gonna like look up the transition, like the history part about it, because my English teacher when we did Shakespeare was just like, no fear, Shakespeare, other side of the book, just let's get through it.
Yeah.
Right. But I think if having some more understanding of how language was transitioning from old to new English and all that other good stuff will probably make it easier to go, oh, okay, maybe this will like be something that I can grapple with. Even it's going to be hard as shit. I know.
Always. But that's the thing is, like, listen, it's the idea that people start using words that mean nothing. Like people who refer to people as fam. And I'm like, that's not a word.
Riz was not a word 10 years ago. And now it's the word of the year in the Oxford English Dictionary.
I also love Rism with the tism. I'm like, that is one of the best outcomes of the word Riz and autism. I'll tell you
Shout out to frequent guest of this show, Nina Dicker, for teaching that to us.
The big Dicker herself.
Yeah.
Massive Dicker. Let's be honest. Yeah. Sorry, had a visitor. I mean, was it an interdimensional visitor, Joey?
I know that implies that he has a probe up his bum, but we'll see.
By choice or for pleasure or business.
Yeah.
That's the question. I don't know. This is why I enjoy this type of exchange, is because how is Nina, by the way? Oh, wouldn't you like to know, you dirty whore? You
what? Didn't you guys do something with her? Oh, because you had lunch with her before my.
I had lunch with. Well, yeah. No, we had dinner. It was great. It was great. We went to a place for ramen, but it was run by people from Mexico, and it was very enjoyable. Victoria was like, "Oh, it was good," and she was like, "This is the best one." It was like Korean. I don't know. It was multiple cultures all crammed into one place, and I enjoyed it. I ended up getting soft shell crab. It was very good.
And like going back to like the stuff about teaching these kids to be the adults they're going to be and not treating them like the children they are.
Yeah.
After all the lessons about the digital
so demeaning of a statement, though. Sorry, that's
what.
It's like teaching them the adults they'll become, because not like the children that they are.
No, not like
stupid
that.
Little
no, I mean like trying to like quash them. You know what I mean? Anyway, so at the end of all those lessons, a couple of kids were like, "Can we follow you on social media after we graduate?" I'm like, "Yeah, because you're adults. You don't like that's just two people interacting at that point. You can do whatever the hell you want. I'm not going to stop you." And I think that's interesting, especially because like I made friends with my history professor after I graduated from UCR. I'm going to dinner with him tomorrow night, actually.
Really?
But, yeah. Did you meet Hawkins at the wedding at all?
No.
He was there. Yeah.
Why? See, you know what the problem is because you were all I'm getting married. It's my special day. You didn't introduce me to all the
I'm
people
sorry.
how dare you? No, it was a great time.
No.
Also, we both ruined coconut bundt cake and cheesecake for each other.
Yeah.
Well, I ruined it for you, and it ruined for myself too.
Yeah, that was pretty fun.
So good.
No, but okay. On the dance floor, the lady with the red flower in her hair that was just going and going and going the whole night.
Yes,
that was his wife.
Okay. Shenanigans.
Yeah. So yeah, I imagine that maybe something like that will happen. My students will either follow me on social media or say hi or whatever, and that's fine. Like that's all well and good, I think.
Yes. So this is. I remember having a teacher that we had many philosophical discussions, and also too, he was like, I was more of a peacekeeper until I wasn't in high school, because I was a giant, but he was also he was like 6'8",
wow.
and
but
so he was
Kyle's height roughly.
A little, he was taller than Kyle. Wow. And the funny thing is, he was an English teacher, and I got his class, and so I was like, we were going through it, and I'm like, okay. And a couple times I put my hand up, I'm like, no, sorry, because we had discussions as adults, as men.
Yeah.
And now he's supposed to be my teacher, and I come up to him after like my third class, and I'm like, hey, I think I should transfer. He's like, oh, thank God you said something. Yeah, this is not good. This is a bad. I'm like, I'm like, each time I'm put my hand up, I remember to not. He's like, thank you. I know exactly what you're talking about. I really appreciate it. But yeah, I think it would be for the best if you, because we're not that. And I'm like, I appreciate that, and I understand it. And then I switched to a teacher that I fucking hated, and I'm like, yeah, God damn it. But at the same time, I like that's a difficult thing where you're going, hey, I want to treat you like an adult, but in no uncertain terms, I am your teacher here, and my authority is king here. Yeah. So let's not mince words, because that's the difficult part of communication, right? Where you're like, hey, you have to set boundaries, but also too, you don't want to set boundaries that exclude people. You want to set boundaries that include people, right? Because boundaries are meant to exclude people who are undesirable or not beneficial to your environment, and that is realistically something, right? It's one of those things that you have to progressively do. But yeah, also too, Oni, I'm not ignoring you. I was googling because I'm like, this motherfucker, I'm gonna fucking figure it out. And then I looked it up, and it's like, it has so many meetings, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, why would you do that to me?
Just to close out the episode, I wanted to bring something up. When I was at breakfast with my dad yesterday, he told me about a dramatic TV show that was on when he was in high school called Mr. Novak. And now Novak is spelled differently. It's Novak instead of like mine with Novack. And this is a little too like on the nose for me. Mr. Novak is an American dramatic television series starring, whatever the actor's name is. In the title role as a high school teacher. The series aired on NBC for 2 seasons. It won a Peabody Award, and then the next picture, the synopsis. Okay, so the series follows John Novak, an idealistic first-year English teacher at Jefferson High School in Los Angeles, who often gets involved in the lives of his students and fellow teachers. So, like,
what the hell?
2/3 of that is literally what my life is like. The name, it's in Los Angeles, first-year English teacher. This is too, like, similar to what's going on in my life.
I mean, hands down, it's like, oh, this is Stranger Than Fiction. That's perfect.
Yeah, no, definitely. It was one of those things where I was like, did you do something, Dad? Like, did you like prod me? He's like, I didn't tell you to be a teacher. This just worked out as it is. I'm like, this is
100% Mandela effect. Yeah. I mean, listen, you're actually a 95-year-old producer, and you made shows and everything. Mm-hmm. No worries on it. Oni, you have a great evening. Thank you for stopping by. I'm going to be back in half an hour, everyone. Yeah. And also, Hiva Yoda to you as well, sir.
I guarantee you that's not how you pronounce it.
I know it isn't, but I'm like, I have no point of reference. I don't know any Finnish people other than Oni, which I very much enjoyed this interaction. So
yeah, so I that's probably a good place to stop. Yeah. So thanks everybody for listening. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell your friends. At Generation Dan on Twitter, Instagram, all those places. new episodes of this show come out every Friday. It's basically just the thing you just watched. Or if you're listening to this on a Friday, we'll see you next week.
Absolutely.
If you want to follow me, you can follow me at Atlas Novak, Novack. In all the places. I have another podcast called Nexus at Night that's about a trading card game called Card Fight Vanguard. If you don't like it or don't care, I completely understand. How can you say he's still around enough to say it? How can you say that so wrong?
Just to rub it in my face, which I appreciate. That's how you grow, is other people giving you shit.
And then also my YouTube channel, The Epileptic Comic, little sketches, stuff like that. Sometimes my stand-up is on there. And then also I do a podcast every other Monday with Cole Clayton called Last Minute History. So it's us talking about a historical topic for roughly half an hour or so, the way someone would, where they come up to you like, I have a history report due tomorrow and I need poster board. It's that. So check that out. It also will show up on the Generation Dan RSS feed. So if you're subscribed to this on your podcast app of choice, it'll show up there too.
Shenanigans. Also too, you can find me at Dino the Genetic Marvel. Just Google it. If you're not willing to Google it, we're not going to be friends. That's just my honest opinion, because I'm that guy. I've been building tons of Lego again, which I am thoroughly enjoying because it just gives me so much peace. And then also we have a bunch of stuff. We're going through a journey collectively. It's very exciting. But that is some of the things going on right now as well. April 21st, keep it open. We are going to be having shenanigans at the expense of Cole Clayton, because who's at sniffing glue _22, because who I do a cooking show every Tuesday with called Hammered and Cheese, where Cole gets shit-faced and also cooks, and I pretty much dictate or narrate the entire story. It's quite enjoyable.
What time is the roast, by the way?
That's a great question. I have absolutely no idea. We haven't set it up yet, but it is going to be. I probably have to do that now. We
Just keep the day open.
Yeah, keep the day open, because I'll tell you, it's not going to be quick. It is going to be relentless, and I'm hoping he cries. So it should be good. But in the meantime, have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. I'm going to be back in like half an hour to build Lego for everyone. So feel free to come back, and you can give me shit, or we can make fun of Atlas together. It'll be very enjoyable. Especially with the fact that it looks like he's squatting in somebody else's house right now, which, let's be honest, that seems totally accurate. But
someone could be squatting in this house when we leave. We'll see.
Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Bye, everyone.